welcome back to my channel. If you have been around for more than a few weeks, you may know that I love to read, and I hear people say this following phrase all the time: I want to read, but I just don't have time. And it kind of makes me die inside, but I'm not gonna get on my soapbox today. I'm just gonna say, if you don't usually have time to read, Christmas break is a wonderful time to do so. So here are some recommendations for books you should read over Christmas break. I am intentionally going to put this up about a week before most people are on Christmas break, so you have time to Amazon Prime them or put them on your Santa letter in case you would like to check them out. So if you are interested, just keep watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share for more content like this. All right, so I have a bunch of books over here, but my idea is that you'll pick one or maybe two that you want to read over Christmas break. They're very varied, but I will let you know why I would suggest that particular book for each of my recommendations. All right, so we're going to start with the only Christmas book I actually have in this stack, and that is, of course, A Christmas Carol. You definitely cannot have a Christmas reading list without A Christmas Carol on it. So Christmas Carol is by Charles Dickens. If you're looking at this and thinking, oh, good gracious, why is that book so long? The answer is it's not. So this is a Barnes & Noble edition. I think this was like $7 on Barnes & Noble, but it's A Christmas Carol and other Christmas classics. So it has a whole bunch of books in here. I don't know how many, we shall see. So there's 5 Christmas books and then a whole bunch of Christmas stories. So it's quite a few different things in here. Honestly, the only one I have actually read is A Christmas Carol, and it's only 60 pages. So really short, really easy, simple. Definitely recommend if you're looking for something Christmassy, and if you've never read it, definitely go read it because it is like a staple. I read it in 7th grade, so I assume most of us read it during school, but if you didn't, go pick it up. If you want to get like a whole thing of them, that's great too, but you definitely don't have to. My next recommendation is actually what I am currently reading, and this is one of my absolute favorite books in all of life, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So this is a pretty hefty book. If you are not a quick reader, you will probably not finish it over break because it is 516 pages, which is quite a bit. But the reason I'm including it in this list is because the movie is coming out. Well, it'll be out right after I post this. So it's coming, there's a new movie coming out with Emma Watson in it, and it's Little Women, and I am like super thrilled to death that it's happening because I cannot wait to go see it. I'm super excited because again, this is one of my absolute favorites. I used to read it with my mom when I was little, and I've read it many times since then, but I'm reading it now and there's a lot that I forgot. So I'm glad that I picked it up. Definitely recommend, especially if you're a quick reader or if you want to go ahead and get started now so that you're a little ahead of the game. My next book, I wanted to have something a little bit quicker, so my next suggestion would be A Moveable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. I have a slight Hemingway obsession, just being honest, ever since I went to Hemingway's house in Key West on my honeymoon 3 years ago, 3.5 years, I guess, and I picked up The Green Hills of Africa and absolutely loved it. I had not previously liked him. Like, I read a few books in high school and I was not a fan, but I really enjoyed Green Hills of Africa, and then I picked up A Moveable Feast, which is about his time in Paris, and I absolutely loved this one as well. Of course, I love anything that is set in France, you know, with my little beret on here. So this is a quicker read if you're looking for something that's a little faster. And it's a little more off the beaten track. Like, Ernest Hemingway obviously is a classic, and tons of people read A Farewell to Arms and Sun Also Rises and The Old Man and the Sea, but this is one that maybe not quite as many people have read, so it makes it a little more interesting. And I prefer his nonfiction, so like this one and The Great Hills of Africa, over his fiction books. I don't know why, I just do. Although I read one recently that I think is upstairs, I can't remember what it's called, but it was about Cuba, and I really liked that one. That one was good. But yeah, so A Moveable Feast, Ernest Hemingway, that one's really fun. If you are looking for something to help you at school, then I would suggest, out of all my teacher books, which I was just noticing I have quite a few, this one over all of them. So this is The End of Molasses Classes by Ron Clark, who is the founder of Ron Clark Academy, and it is wonderful. Each chapter, there's a whole bunch of chapters, and they're all super short, like a couple pages, and each one is something really practical that you can do to help be a better teacher. So he talks really specific things. I'll read off a couple so that you can do it. And some are mindset things, some are things you actually can do. So he talks about uplifting other adults that play a role in the lives of your children. Don't make excuses, just make it happen. Set the tone for love of learning. And he like gives you practical ideas for like how to actually do these things. And it was really quite good. Let's see, how many pages are we talking? So this one's got, oh, this is another medium size. So 319 pages for this copy that I've got, but it goes pretty quickly, and you could also just read whatever like parts you think would be best. But this is a really good one if you want to feel a little more inspired and enthusiastic about teaching, because he's definitely enthusiastic about it and like all gung-ho. So really interesting read. I enjoyed this one. We actually did it as a book study at school, and I liked that one. I'll do my next I think it's the other nonfiction on here. So if you're looking for something to help you get set for the new year, I would recommend Master Your Time, Master Your Life by Brian Tracy. So a lot of people in the new year talk about, you know, wanting to accomplish all these goals, and actually he has a book called Goals. Maybe I should have picked that one. But one thing that is really paramount in accomplishing your goals is being able to actually manage your time so that you have time to do all of your goals. So I would highly recommend this book. It's very practical. It talks about like how you see your time and like ways that you can improve your time management and how that makes everything else much better. And it kind of breaks it down into like work and like family life and different things like that. So this is a really good one, especially if you have some goals that you're wanting to reach in the new year, and if you're maybe worried about time management, or if you have not been good at time management and you want to be. I would recommend this book to help you out with that. All right, now my next one might seem a little weird, but in some countries on Christmas Eve, they tell ghost stories, and I'm telling you that so that this is not confusing. So my ghost story recommendation that's not like creepy or stupid would be Best Ghost Stories by J.S. Le Fanu. Now, I am not normally like a horror person, but actually I took an English class in college, and it wasn't a horror class, but the teacher decided to make it horror themed. So all the books we read were like Edgar Allan Poe, and we read Best Ghost Stories of Le Fanu, and we read Turn of the Screw, and we read The Birds by Daphne du Maurier, and like lots of that kind of stuff that I never would have touched on my own, because I am historical fiction all the way. But I actually really enjoyed some of the ones that we read, and I really enjoyed Le Fanu's ghost stories. They were just very different and almost kind of silly. Like it gave me the feeling of like sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories, and it was funny. That's actually something that a lot of the people in my class were like, I didn't like this because it sounded like we're just sitting around telling ghost stories. And I was like, I like that because that was cool. So they're really silly. There's a bunch of them, so this would be good if you only have a little bit of time. You can pick and choose and just read like a couple of them. But highly recommend if you're looking for some nice ghost stories that are not super creepy or scary or Edgar Allan Poe, because I'm not a big Poe fan. Kind of along that line, I am really big into British literature in the winter time. I don't know why, I guess just because it's like cold, and it's always cold and dreary in British literature. So my next suggestion for books you absolutely cannot put down, actually all of the next ones are all books you cannot put down. But anything by Daphne du Maurier would basically be my suggestion. So if you're looking for something a little creepy, a little British lit, a little different, something that's going to keep you guessing, anything by Daphne du Maurier, but specifically either My Cousin Rachel or Rebecca. These are both wonderful. I discovered Daphne du Maurier in that English class, but we read short stories by her. And then I got Rebecca because that's my name, so I just had to read it and adored it. And so I got my cousin Rachel, and I actually just asked my brother to get me some more of her books to read this winter. So hopefully Santa leaves those under the tree. So these are really great. I was gonna pick just one, and then I was like, I don't know which one to pick because they're both so wonderful. But I mean, literally cannot put them down. So if you're worried about not being able to finish a book, I would pick up one of these because they are ridiculous. I might say Rebecca over my cousin Rachel, but again, it's a close call. I'm not really sure. Both of them are creepy, kind of suspenseful, a little bit romantic, and just keep you guessing all the way till the end. And after it's over, you're still like, but what? I don't. So I don't want to give anything away, but both of them are really great. I would suggest either one. 2 thumbs up from me. All right, the next 2 are not creepy ghost stories, but they are really great, and they're still in that like absolutely positively cannot put them down. The next one is called Victoria by Daisy Goodwin, and this is another one that I would say anything by Daisy Goodwin, because she has 3 novels out. They're all historical fiction, which again is right up my alley. Like, that's my love language, is historical fiction, and they're all wonderful. Like, cannot put them down. I read The Fortune Hunter this summer. If you watch some of my vlogs, I was reading it in there, and I loved it. Each one I'm like, surely this isn't gonna be as good as the last one, and they are. So Victoria is about Queen Victoria, which adds an extra little fun flair, but it was really interesting. Again, just couldn't put it down. And it's like right when she gets crowned, and like the first couple years of running her country and falling in love with her king, and it's just wonderful. So anything by Daisy Goodwin, but I would probably say Victoria is my favorite out of the 3 if I had to choose. But I'd rather not choose. My last book is another cannot put it down, and this is a more modern classic, but I highly recommend, and that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm not sure if that's right. Where is he from? Rio de Janeiro. Oh, I don't know how to speak Portuguese, so we're gonna say it like it's Spanish. Paulo Coelho. The Alchemist. This one is wonderful. Now, I do have a thing for, you know, magic kind of stories, and this is definitely like that, but it is really great, a little philosophical, pretty short. It's like, yeah, 160 pages. That's like nothing. So if you are like, Becca, why do you keep recommending all these books that are super long? Read The Alchemist. Super short, cannot put it down, super good, highly recommend. And again, it's one of those like modern classics, so you want to be able to read it so that you just, you know about it, because it's been really popular lately. All right, so those are my top picks for books to read over Christmas break. Of course, I could sit here and recommend books to you all day long because I love to read, and I was like, oh, maybe I should pick this one. Oh, maybe I should pick this one. And I was like, okay, I need to narrow it down and just only have a couple of things that have really specific reasons why you should read them. So that's how we got to those. I know it was still quite a few, but I can't help myself because I just love them. So if you have any questions about those books, leave them down below. If you have any other recommendations for what you think you should read over Christmas break, leave those down below as well. I'm looking for things to read myself, so I'm excited for that. I have some I think I'm gonna read, but haven't totally solidified. I'm also filming this like a month ahead because I just knew December was gonna be crazy, so I was like, I'm gonna get this out as soon as possible. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share so that you don't miss any other recommendations. And please make sure you like this so that I know whether you like book recommendations or not, because I could talk about books all day, but apparently not everyone feels that way. So that's where we are. If you are watching this, you can check out all of these books in the links down below, and they would also all make really great Christmas presents if you're still looking for something for someone and you're not quite sure what to get them. Any of these would be definitely good recommendations. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and a Merry Christmas.